Good morning and welcome to Korea Today live from Seoul.
Once a student returns as president, South Korean leader Park Geun-hye is now in France on the first leg of her three-nation trip, where she will sit down with French President François Hollande later today.
And South Korea's top nuclear envoy Cho Tae-yong says Seoul should be the initiator in discussing Pyongyang's nuclear issue. I have more on that coming up in the headlines. And President Park Geun-hye says she is willing to meet with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. More to come.
The Vancouver Whitecaps paid a special tribute online for Korean soccer player Lee Young-pyo's retirement. You can check it out on Hot Clicks.
The Korean monster pitcher Ryu Hyun-jin returns home after a successful rookie season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ryu looks back on his first MLB season and postseason performance. Staying ahead of the pack, cafes across the country are reinventing themselves with unique concepts and designs to stay afloat. We take a look at some of the trendiest spots on Monday, November 4th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Welcome to Korea Today on a Monday morning. Good morning, everyone, or I should say bonjour tout le monde. President Park Geun-hye is now in France, and she greeted a group of K-pop and K-drama fans in French. And let me tell you, it was more than just a bonjour.
That's right. It was a Hallyu fan club based in France, and it was organized by Bonjour Korea, that is the club there. And of course, she did do the greeting in French, but she also came donned in a dress suit, but was surprised to see that many of the participants had worn a hanbok. And she was also talking about how she enjoyed Shangsong back in the days.
That's
and
right.
Still watches French movies. But the question that she had for the audience was, why do you like Korean dramas? The answers were various, but many of the answers said that the Korean dramas portray a pure, innocent love, respect for elders, as well as a good traditional fundamental value.
Well, Na Hyung-kyung has related news and much more in the day's headlines, so we'll turn to her right now.
So President Park Geun-hye has kick-started her 8-day official trip to Western Europe before holding a bilateral summit with French President François Hollande on Monday local time. As you already heard, she met with French fans of Hallyu, or the Korean wave.
문화는 상대를 이해하고 공감을 이루는데 첫 걸음이 되기도 하고, 또 서로 잘 몰랐던 국민들끼리도 아주 하나로 큰 공감대를 이루게 하는 놀라운 힘을 가지고 있다고 생각을 합니다.
And as for the comment she made during an interview with the French daily Le Figaro about possible inter-Korean summit talks, her senior press secretary told reporters it was merely an answer based on principles. The president had told the Daily that she is open to dialogue with the young leader Kim Jong-un if necessary, but only if the meeting is for the peace and development of inter-Korean relations and its results are not short-lived. And staying on North Korea, Seoul's chief nuclear envoy Cho Tae-yong says South Korea will act as the leading country in dealing with North Korea's nuclear programs in a meeting with his U.S. counterparts in Washington. Now, Cho is currently on an official trip to the U.S. Upon arrival in Washington, Cho told reporters Seoul should be the initiator in discussing Pyongyang's nuclear issue, and that this is the stance of the South Korean government as well as the people of South Korea. Analysts say this strong display of will is rare, considering that negotiations regarding North Korea in the past have typically revolved around the U.S. and China. When asked about a possible resumption of the stalled six-party nuclear disarmament talks, Cho said he agrees on holding the negotiations aimed at creating a nuclear-free North Korea, but not on reopening the talks just for the sake of it. Chairman Lee Seok-chae, the CEO of Korea's largest telecommunication company, KT, has offered to resign amid allegations he had caused the company to lose at least 80 billion won, or roughly $75 million. Prosecutors are looking into whether Lee had given orders to sell some of his firm's properties illegally at under market value prices, which allegedly benefited the buying party but caused financial losses to the shareholders. The prosecution is expected to summon executive-level officials from KT as early as this week. Now, Chairman Lee is still strongly denying allegations. In an email to all of the KT employees, he said he is willing to even reveal his salary if that's what it takes to prove his innocence. In the 30-plus years since records have been kept, Korea has never posted an annual current account surplus that has exceeded that of Japan's. But based on data released by the Bank of Korea, analysts are carefully predicting this year could be the first to buck that trend. BOK figures show for the first 8 months of 2013, Korea posted a current account surplus of some $42.2 billion, while Japan posted $41.5 billion. With this trend, Seoul's current account surplus is predicted to be approximately $63 billion by the end of the year, whereas Tokyo's will end up at slightly over $60 billion. Analysts attribute this outlook to a number of factors, chief among them being Japan's tsunami in 2011, the weakening Japanese yen, and Korea's strong exports of mobile handsets and automobiles.
And good Monday morning, everyone. As you are seeing, treated as top news this morning is the start of the president's European tour. And in fact, Joseon-ilbo's front page reflects this as well. It has one of her earliest agenda items upon arriving in France ahead of meeting with the president, Francois Hollande, later today. Now, the image title reads, President Park attends Korean drama party in France. And it was a special performance planned by fans of the Korean wave for President Park Geun-hye. The fan club, the caption says, is called Bonjour Corée, and its members sang and danced to popular Korean theme songs before the president. And scooting over to Gyeongyang Shinmun, it has a front page story. Headline, meanwhile, has a paraphrase of what the president told French media Le Figaro ahead of her trip. The headline reads, I can meet with North Korea's Kim Jong-un anytime. And the presidential office gave some context to this statement, saying that it was not unlike the same statement she gave during a Washington Post interview in May. Meanwhile, the front page image shows a candlelight ceremony that took place at the Pongin Temple on Saturday night. We are now 3 days and counting to the all-important college entrance exam, the Suneung, and a group of to-be test takers and their parents took part in a walk around the Buddhist temple to wish for a high score over the weekend. And over at Donga-ilbo, its main headline is different. It reads, World wiretapping war, Korea's communication backdoor left defenseless. Now, as the world governments are reeling over revelations of the U.S. spy agency's undercover surveillance, Donga-ilbo spoke with a number of experts and government officials to find that while there is no confirmation yet whether the National Security Agency wiretapped Korea, the capabilities are certainly there, particularly when you consider the so-called backdoor aspect of our communications equipment and smartphone operating systems, according to the paper. Now, both are largely dependent on overseas companies and their backdoor channels that the creators of the system and equipment left open for maintenance and repair purposes could be used for such undercover surveillance and has been used as an open door for hackers in the past.
Now, I think the key word over here is wireless technology. Everything is going wireless, and all of our sensitive information and data is just out in the open. And honestly, it can be intercepted. Now, when we're using our phones and mobile phones all the time and logging on to the servers, that can also be intercepted as well. I mean, what about the servers as well as everything going mobile these days?
Well, in fact, the paper does mention that, Young.
that there is a growing number of government officials as well as business people who are using web-based emails such as Gmail more liberally. And the article says the government, including the Future Planning Ministry, has no guideline on this matter. So it raises that problem, and it also cites one expert saying that there needs to be a comprehensive plan to secure our information within the borders. All right, and over on Made Business newspaper, we're going to change things up a bit today and take a look at both economic dailies today. Made Business newspaper treats as its top KT chairman Lee Seok-che's offer to resign. And in that email to his board of directors as well as his staff, Lee said that he no longer could sit back and watch his employees suffer, and said he would resign, likening his state to the mother, that of the mother before King Solomon in the Bible. He said he will deal with the day-to-day until a new CEO is confirmed, lamenting that he would even reveal his annual salary if the charges against him could be resolved for it. And finally, let's wrap things up with a look at the Korea Economic Daily. Its main headline reads, acquisition tax cut to be applied on transactions dated August 28th and beyond. The newspaper reporting that the central government and the ruling party have agreed to pull up the date to apply the said acquisition tax on real estate purchases from January 1st of next year to that date that the real estate plan was announced August 28th of this year. That revision would allow for the reduction of acquisition taxes from 2% to 1% for properties less than 600 million won, or roughly $565,000 US dollars. And the article says about 90% of all housing transactions since August 28th does fall under that first category. The hope is that the quicker application of the tax cut will encourage more to buy property as opposed to seeking jeonse rentals or deposit-based rental unique to Korea. And the agreement is expected to be officially announced at the National Assembly later today to the main opposition Democratic Party. And with that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Monday. Next up are your closing numbers from Friday's market action.
We're looking at mostly overcast skies across the country today.
Yep, it wasn't a good weekend either, right? We started off with some fog in the air. We'll get a check on today's weather updates with Dami joining us from Seongdong-gu. Good morning.
Good morning, Dami.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Today, I'm reporting live from Seoul Forest, located in Duksam. Now, this morning on the first Monday of November, we're starting out with hazy skies. It is a bit foggy this morning. It might be a bit thicker or a bit denser depending on which area you're in, so please be cautious on the roads. Now, here in the central regions, we will be seeing clear conditions throughout the day. Clouds can be from partly to mostly cloudy as the day progresses, but clear conditions overall. Now, over in the East Coast regions, there may be signs of showers, so you may want to bring an umbrella with you if you are in those areas. Now, as for our mercury levels, it looks like this morning currently temperatures are at 10 degrees Celsius. Later in the day, our highs are going to leap up quite a bit. Make sure to dress accordingly in order to prevent from catching a cold. All right, now with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather around the peninsula. Seoul, Daejeon, and Jeju will all rise to 17, Daegu at 19, Gangneung the coolest at 15, Gwangju at 18, and Busan the warmest at 22 degrees. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
Well, in Los Angeles, the number 99 might have brought up a few names. Wayne Gretzky, for that matter, who was known as the Great One, rallied things up in Los Angeles while he was with the Kings. Well, look out, Gretzky, because there's a new 99 in town, and that is Ryu Hyun-jin.
That's right. He's back in Korea now, though. He held a press conference last Friday, and our sports guy, SJ Lee, joined the conference. And just for the record, Hyung-kyung was extremely jealous. He wanted to be there.
I had to be there.
You know what, Ryu Hyun-jin's popularity right now, 99 actually with the Dodgers, there was a guy by the name of Manny Ramirez who was very popular. And there was a lot of people saying, does he deserve to wear number 99? Well, after this season, he is probably one of the more popular athletes in Los Angeles, not just in baseball. So, but of course, here in Korea, he's very popular. And he actually returned to Korea, like you guys said, this past Tuesday. So let's take a look. LA Dodgers Lee Young-pyo returned to his home country after finishing his first successful season as a Major League Baseball player. On Tuesday, when he arrived in Korea, the airport was packed with members from the media, a good reflection of just how much attention and love Ryu receives in Korea.
일단 너무 오랜만에 왔는데 이렇게 들어가기 전에 많은 분들이 제가 들어왔을 때 이렇게 나와주셨으면 좋겠다고 했었는데 그 약속 지킨 것 같아서 너무 좋고요.
So what was the promise he made 9 months ago before leaving to the big leagues? Ryu had said in front of many reporters that he wanted to receive a bouquet of flowers, have at least 10 wins, and be picked as the Rookie of the Year. Not everyone thought all of this could come true. Since Park Chan-ho, who holds the record for the most career wins by an Asian pitcher, many Korean baseball players such as Kim Byung-yeon and Seo Jae-young would have made it to the major leagues, but no one was able to come close to Park Chan-ho's success. Until last year, Ryu Hyun-jin was the top pitcher in Korea's professional baseball league. He has a left-handed pitcher with a sturdy build, 187 centimeters tall, weighing in at 98 kilograms, and his pitches were intimidating. Why else would he have been dubbed the monster pitcher? So many Korean fans believe he would have an equally impressive career at the major leagues. And Ryu indeed had a great start. He was signed to a 6-year, $36 million deal with the LA Dodgers.
한국 야구나 미국 야구랑 크게 차이 나는 거는 많이 없다고 생각하고요. 워낙 미국 야구 하면은 힘들만 좀 좋고 그런 거밖에 없기 때문에 또 야구는 또 똑같은 야구고 하다 보니까.
Ryu had an impressive debut season. His 14-8 record with an ERA of 3.00 was instrumental in helping the team advance to the postseason. He also pitched 192 innings, which is the most among rookie pitchers. In 2006, just after graduating from high school, he debuted as a Hanwha Eagles player, throwing delicately controlled fastball changeup pitches and managed critical moments very well. He had 18 wins and 204 strikeouts and had an ERA of 2.23 in his first season. That year, he took home the Rookie of the Year and MVP honors. Ryu Hyun-jin is legendary for doubling ticket sales whenever he was listed to pitch. Even at the major leagues, Ryu held on to his style of play.
특별히 조언을 해줘야 된다면 정말 그냥 선수들이랑 빨리 친해지는 거, 운동 방법이라든지 이런 거는 제가 하던 방식으로 했던 점, 그런 두 가지만 전달해주고 싶어요.
The biggest attention grabber for the Korean baseball fans was Game 3 of the National League Championship Series against the St. Louis Cardinals on October 15th. During this game, Ryu Hyun-jin threw 7 scoreless innings that led his team to victory. It was the first win by a Korean pitcher during MLB's postseason games. All of the major newspapers carried this news on the front pages the next day.
처음으로 승리 투수가 되긴 했는데 저희 팀 선수들이 워낙 좋은 선수들이 많았고 근데 정말 그때 승리 투수 되고 나서는 어느 때보다도 좋았었고 아무래도 0승 2패로 끌려가는 상황의 3차전에서 승리를 했기 때문에
Many Korean fans haven't forgotten about Korea's first Major League Baseball player, Park Chan-ho. While the nation's morale was down due to the Asian financial crisis, Park gave Koreans hope. Ryu Hyun-jin left for the major league dreaming to become the next Park Chan-ho. And many of his fans hope that he will go beyond those expectations.
프로 들어와서 이제 9년째 처음부터 똑같이 처음 목표는 10승에 2점대라고 하는데 내년도 변함없을 것 같고요. 그러기 위해서는 겨울 동안 잘 쉬고 잘 운동하고 해야 될 것 같아요.
All right, so those are some clips from his official press conference that he had on Friday. But right when he got off the airport, he had a real quick press conference as well. And apparently he said that he gives himself a score of 99, just like his number. I mean, he really did very well, and I think many people will give him that score. Well, how do you see his performance, and what do other people think about his performance?
I'll be honest with you, I was really surprised at his numbers. 14-8. Sure, he had the 8 losses, but a lot of times he got the loss because the LA Dodgers were actually struggling in the beginning of the year. In fact, if the Dodgers were hitting like they did towards the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, I would say he could have easily gotten 16, 17 wins, which would have been great for a rookie season, but still 14 wins, this is great. And a lot of people were caught off guard with this number because when he first signed with the Dodgers, they said 6 years, 36 million, that's a lot of money. Also, this includes the 25 plus million that the Dodgers had to pay the Hanwha Eagles for the posting bids. So they were saying, well, you invested 60 plus million on this guy who a lot of the critics were saying, he's a little bit too fat. He's a little bit too chubby. Is he in shape? And in fact, when he heard that, the first thing he said he did was he cut off all hamburgers as soon as he landed in LA.
Those hamburgers will do it to you.
Right, and he lost a lot of weight, and he was in great shape. And you know what? Great numbers, and I think it's next year that a lot of people are looking forward to.
Right, it's that willpower too that he has, right? I'm looking forward to his performance next year. So what's in the what's his performance going to be like? I know you're not a fortune teller, but considering all things.
I would actually say that his second year will be more important than his rookie season. And the reason for that is a lot of the pitchers or a lot of the hitters even, they go through a tough time in their second year. They go through a sophomore slump. The reason for that is because Ryu Hyun-jin actually had such a great season, all the scouts from all the teams out there are going to get into deep details and like what kind of pitches he throws and what kind of counts on what counts he's going to throw certain pitches. So they have so many information on Ryu Hyun-jin that the batters are going to read him. The batters are going to know more about Ryu Hyun-jin. But at the same time, Ryu Hyun-jin, his biggest problem in his rookie season was that he would actually get nervous in the first 3 innings, which is why he gave up so many runs in the first 3 innings. But now, because he got that rookie season out of the way, he's going to be more confident. So it's really half-half. Are we going to see a more confident Ryu Hyun-jin? Or are we going to see a Ryu Hyun-jin where a lot of the batters and a lot of the other teams have more information on him that they're going to start hitting him? So
they are going to be analyzing this man from now on.
That's right, and that's actually good. It's an honor to have all the scouts kind of scout you and stuff like that.
And based on how well he did for his first year, I mean, we Koreans would love him to win the MLB Rookie of the Year award, but unfortunately that chance is slightly slim, right?
If he pitched for an American League team, I would say he would have won the Rookie of the Year honors. But unfortunately for him, despite a great season that he had, the National League had a number of great players.
Way too many great players.
That's
rookie players.
Right, exactly. And in fact, the favorite right now to win the Rookie of the Year honors is a guy by the name of Jose Fernandez from the Miami Marlins. And he actually went up against him and lost, which took a huge toll on the whole Rookie of the Year race for him. But I would say he goes into maybe top 3 best rookies in the National League. And even though he doesn't get to win, and this is, of course, the result hasn't come out yet, I think it's still the kind of season that he had and the kind of, season that a lot of Korean fans here were able to enjoy. I think that itself is big enough.
And he'll always be the winner in our minds, right?
That's
I know that's a fluffy line there, but thank you, SJ, for that story.
Thank you for having me.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to talk about coffee and the coffee industry later on our show, so cheers to that. The coffee industry has seen more than a 50% growth in the market over the past 4 years. The Java market is booming with endless cafes popping up, but it's not just the perfect brew. Cafe owners are giving their shops creative spins, and artful decor. Stay tuned for more.
All right, while we let that cup of coffee brew, we're going to be talking about kugak music. Now, kugak is the traditional Korean music and traditional kugak performances. They've been taking on a different feel. We're talking a more modern flair with a more emphasis on fun.
You are talking about that musical, right? The kugak musical, Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Right? Fantastic. They just wrapped up their tour in the US, I hear.
And it has a heartbreaking Romeo and Juliet-like love story. So it's earning a lot of great reviews from both home and abroad. So we'll take a look at Fantastic. This is Jeju Island, a special governing province. At this famous tourist destination rings out joyous beats of Korea's traditional music and a heated round of applause. It's none other than the non-verbal performance Fantastic, combining traditional kugak with percussion instruments. And with a modern transformation, the show has attracted many Koreans and foreign tourists alike.
It offered a lot to see, and the story was new, so it was good.
I was moved by how freely they expressed everything.
It's the unique Korean contents of the show from beginning to end, introducing 100% live kugak performance, traditional percussion instruments, and 상모 돌리기, or a hat spinning dance, all representing leading cultures unique to Korea.
Unlike classical music in Western culture, there's a lot of resonance of sounds. So in songs that are sad or relaxing tunes, the traditional instruments show off more strength.
Also, the added modern dance and b-boy moves create a show that transcend all generations. Another reason for the popularity of Fantastic is the interactive exchange with the audience. It's not just for viewing. The show strings together many elements of fun involving the audience. Thanks to this enthusiastic response, the kugak musical Fantastic also performed in Los Angeles and San Francisco. With the dynamic drum beats pounding the heart, the rich and refined sounds of traditional instruments, daegum and haegum, and calming lively movements, the show sold out all 200 seats and with huge support from the local residents.
This made me realize that a lot of people have their eyes on Korean culture, and they are showing a lot of interest.
And it's not just Koreans. Foreign visitors are also enthralled by the show, easily reflected in the number of those visiting who watched the musical last year at 120,000.
The actors offered stellar performance, and the instruments and dance all came together perfectly.
There's a reason why Fantastic is so popular with foreigners.
To make sure that people of all countries will be able to understand the performance despite differences in language, we try to create a show that is almost like turning pages in a storybook.
Fun.
I've always wanted to try this 상모 돌리기, you know?
That just makes you dizzy. I don't know how they do it and how they stay standing.
They're professionals, Young. I mean, I think it does kind of remind me of the performance called Nanta, which was huge. It was a huge sensation globally, about the past couple of years. But the Fantastic had a little bit more added elements, I guess, of fun that will really capture the minds of the audience.
Yeah, we've seen these as well, especially as you said, Nanta, and there was also Jump. So a lot of these performances are mixing a love story, which everyone can relate to, along with culture, tradition, and a bit of fun, and coming up with the three elements coming together to form a one-of-a-kind show.
And you can catch this performance Fantastic both in Seoul and on Jeju Island. And it's an open-run performance, so you have plenty of time to check it out and immerse yourselves in the charm of kugak.
I don't know if I should call it Fantastic or Fantastic. Or it's just because of the way it's spelled, like with a stick, at the end.
Well, all I know is it's fantastic.
Yes.
So we'll just go with that. All right, well, that was your segment on Kugak. You must check that out. And then coming up, we have another fantastic news of some of the hottest internet searches with Chun Sung-cho.
Good morning, this is Chun Sung-cho and welcome to Hot Clicks. Let's go ahead and jump right into our first story. The Iron Man movie franchise is a big global hit, as you all know. And is it because it's recruiting season here in Korea? A parody of the Iron Man 3 movie trailer, which tells the story of a newly hired office worker's struggles, is making waves online. Iron Man is a superhero that seems to have the world in his hands, but he also has troubles.
I got a great girl, and occasionally
living his life as a hero because of the constant threat from villains and arch-enemies. Here in this video, this main character is a newly hired office worker who struggles with mundane office tasks every day at work.
And occasionally save the world. So why can't I sleep?
What keeps him up at night is his boss, who hands him a load of work right before it's time to get off work.
I'm gonna offer a choice. Do you want an empty life?
He's grateful to be employed, but he has difficulty adapting to the corporate culture at his office. And this video seems to have many online users identifying and sympathizing with the life of the office worker. Talking about movies, Snowpiercer made a splash in Korea with over 9 million viewers earlier this year. Directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Hollywood stars like Chris Evans, Tilda Swinton, and Ed Harris, it attracted a lot of attention as a box office powerhouse and a multinational movie project. But what's creating an online buzz now is Snowpiercer's first international release, which was in France on October 30th, just last week. It's the largest release of a Korean movie ever and will be shown on 300 screens. And apparently, it's already received positive reviews from critiques. French newspaper Le Monde, as well as 10 other media outlets, gave it 5 stars, and 15 other publications gave it 4 stars. So what are Korean online users saying? Some are a little skeptical, saying the generous scores are due to Snowpiercer being based on an original French graphic novel. But the majority are happy about these reviews, and that's including me, because I thought the movie was mind-blowing and so cleverly written and directed. You should definitely go watch it if you have the chance. And staying on media-related stories, not our Dami, but Dami Im from Australia is the first Asian to win Australia's TV talent show, The X Factor Australia. And she is getting a lot of attention these days. And many Koreans are delighted to learn that she is of Korean descent. Since The X Factor first aired in 2010, it has been Australia's most watched reality music competition. She beat finalists Taylor Henderson and Jay Waitford to be crowned the winner on October 28th. Let's take a moment to listen to her music. Dami was born in South Korea and moved to Australia with her family at the age 10. She was influenced by her mother, who was an opera singer, and started to play piano at age 5. She continued her passion for music throughout her life and studied music in college. Many internet users are sending her encouraging messages, wishing her the best in her future music career. Google CEO Eric Schmidt visited Korea recently, it being his 4th visit here. And many Koreans are interested about Eric Schmidt's positive remarks about none other than Hangul, which is, of course, Korean alphabets. Eric Schmidt said that Hangul is one of the key factors which has enabled Korea to take the lead in the current digital era, and announced that Google plans to collaborate with Korea in promoting Korean cultural contents, as well as establishing a digital archive and support for Korean food, Hansik, Korean traditional homes, Hanoks, Korean movies, and more. Many online users are delighted to hear Eric Schmidt's positive remarks on Hangul, but considering Google's small market presence in Korea, some are cautioning that his remarks could be coming from more of a strategic judgment. Well, let's move on to our last story for today. As a key player leading Korea's national soccer team to the semifinals at the 2002 World Cup, Lee Young-pyo has received the love of a nation for the past 11 years. And last week, he ended his 14-year career as a professional soccer player and played his last match. His team, the Vancouver Whitecaps, uploaded a video of Lee Young-pyo on YouTube, which touched the hearts of many Koreans.
Jay's going to lead us out, but YP will be the captain today, so...
Lee Young-pyo's teammates, coaches, and fans cheered on as he played his last match, but the main highlight happened on the field. After Camilo Sambezo from Brazil successfully scored a penalty shot, he ran to Lee Young-pyo and kneeled in front of him as he gave Lee the ball. Right before the end of the match, Coach Martin Rennie switched him out so he could say his goodbyes to his team and his fans. He received a standing ovation while the spotlight shined brightly on him.
But I'm feeling so happy this moment because it is exactly what I wanted to the retirement from when I was young.
You know, it almost seriously brings tears to my eyes. I mean, Lee Young-pyo, he's just a stand-up soccer player. I mean, had a great career. Just one of the silent guys that always performed out there and was a team player. You know, yeah, there's really not many words that could describe the career of this guy. So he caps his career with the Vancouver Whitecaps, but he's been with many different foreign clubs during his career, right?
Yeah, that's right. He spent 2 years with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and before this he played for a number of prestigious teams since the World Cup in 2002, like PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands, Tottenham Hotspur in England, Borussia Dortmund in Germany, and Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia.
I was a huge fan during the 2002 World Cup too. It's
Everybody
sad
was.
to see him go, but they're preparing a huge retirement ceremony for him too, right?
Yes, according to the Korean Football Association, they will host a retirement ceremony called Adieu number 12 for Lee Young-pyo during the upcoming friendly match against the Swiss national team. And obviously, number 12 refers to Lee Young-pyo's signature squad number. And the ceremony will be his last time on the field with the national team.
And when asked about his plan after retirement, he was a bit careful in answering, but he did say that he was going to stay in Vancouver for a couple of years.
Yes. He said that he wants to become a football administrator, so he plans to stay in Vancouver for the next 2 to 3 years and work on sports marketing and other administrative tasks. And many experts are saying that his extensive experience, career, and his character will be of great value as a football administrator in the future. And he definitely has the entire country behind his back in opening a new chapter of his life. Well, this is all I have for you today on Hot Clicks. I'll see you back here next Monday.
Thank you, Song-cho. We just heard the story of a Korean-Australian woman named Dami Im, but time now to go to our Idami.
Idami actually has some really good singing skills
Really talented
as well.
too, young lady.
All right, we'll take it over to Dami.
Live from Seoul Forest to check out the fall foliage. I did try and dress my best to fit the fall scenery. So Seoul Forest used to be an amusement park and purification plant. But what they did was they basically redeveloped about 116 hectares of land into a forest and made a variety of themed parks inside of it. It's already been 20 years since the construction of the forest, so as you can see, there are many magnificent trees that can be found within Seoul Forest. Now, this location is a green zone in the middle of the city, which is quite difficult to find. So this location is becoming very popular as it's known to be a healing spot in Seoul. Now, a lot of people may think that in order to enjoy the fall foliage to its fullest, you have to go outside of the city somewhere far, far away, hours away. But that is definitely not true, because within the city of Seoul, there are many places that you can enjoy the fall scenery. As a matter of fact, there are about 81 locations that have been selected as the beautiful fall foliage paths within Seoul. Now, of the many paths, there's the Deoksu Palace Doldamgil, which is probably the most well-known as it has come out as lyrics in many songs. Along the Doldamgil, there are many ginkgo and zelkova trees that create a beautiful sight for the fall foliage. There's also the area in Yangjae where the Metasequoia Street along the Yangjae stream, that's another beautiful spot. And you can't forget the street along Seokchon Lake where you can find the wangbut trees or Prunus vodonis trees. Now in the fall, these cherry trees, ginkgo trees, nut pine trees create a 2.5-kilometer tunnel, creating beautiful scenery. So there really are many different places to capture the beautiful fall foliage in the city of Seoul. Now here's a fun question. Do you happen to know why the dead leaves fall to the ground? Well, so the trees, basically, they transpire moisture through the leaves, but in the winter when the ground is frozen, it's difficult for the moisture to go down to the roots. So in order to preserve the moisture, the leaves fall off on their own for survival, and they fall to the ground, kind of covering the roots, acting like a blanket and keeping the tree warm in order to survive through the cold winter season. Pretty neat, right? Now, for me personally, I love walking in the park or in the forest during the fall season because I love walking on top of the dead leaves because of the sound and the crispy sound that reminds me of potato chips, and nothing can go wrong with potato chips. Now, right here in the Seoul Forest, why not come on by? Because according to the Weather Center, they say that the first week of November is where the fall foliage is at its peak. So come by with your loved ones, enjoy the fresh air, and of course, don't miss out on this beautiful scenery. I'm Lee Dami, Korea Today.
Now, last Friday night, after an epic series, the Samsung Lions were able to win their third straight Korean series title after beating the Doosan Bears in Game 7. And despite a miracle run by the Doosan Bears this postseason, 16 games were just too much for them. Now, despite playing on very little rest, the Doosan Bears were able to go far in the postseason after finishing 4th in the season. But after a while, injuries took a toll on the team. And once the injuries got to them, the Samsung offense, which was quiet in the first 4 games, came alive in the last 3 games. And despite Lee Seung-yeop's poor series, Park Han-hee, Choi Young-woo, Chae Tae-in, and Park Sung-min led the way, while Doosan's offense fizzled towards the end. Now a great postseason as fans look forward to next season. And now moving on to some Sunday's KBL action as we have 3 games that took place yesterday. Now this including the Goyang Orions crushing Wonju Donggu Promi 73-54. So with that said, let's take a look at the other 2 games, starting off with Ulsan Hyundai Mobis Phoebus taking on Anyang KGC. Of course, going into the game here in the first quarter of the game, Mobis all over KGC's defense as they outscored them 20-11 before KGC starts rallying back in the second quarter, cutting the deficit to 35-29 after the first half. Mobis continues to run away with the game in the third quarter, but a monster fourth quarter from KGC's Kim Yoon-tae will put up 14 points in the quarter. But with Moon Tae-young and Rob Benson combining for 18 points in the fourth, Mobis hangs on to take this game 79-71. And next up, the Changwon LG Sakers taking on Seoul SK Knights. A big first quarter from LG super rookie Kim Jong-gyu puts up 8 points as LG takes a 22-15 lead before going into the second half with a comfortable 42-30 lead. Second half, SK starts to control the paint as they start rallying in the third quarter, with SK's Aaron Haynes putting up 11 points in the fourth quarter. However, LG continues to spread the ball around well, and that was the difference as LG upsets SK 81-77. All right, next up, let's take a look at some K-League Classic action as the Ulsan Hyundai Tigers beat the Incheon United 1-0. Seongnam Chunma beating Gyeongnam FC 2-1, and Daejeon snuck in a win against Daegu 3-2. So with that said, let's take a look at the Pohang Steelers taking on Busan I-Park. And of course, going into the match here, seemed like an evenly matched game until the 22nd minute when Busan's Chang Hak-young finds the back of the net as Busan takes a 1-0 lead. But spoke too soon here. Just 2 minutes later, it's Kim Seung-dae who levels the match after 24 minutes. It's 1-1. Stays that well into the second half of the match. Pohang looking very aggressive here as Kim Won-il in the 69th sends one past the goalkeeper as Pohang takes the lead 2-1. 5 minutes later, insurance goal from Lee Myung-ju this time, and forget about it. 3-1 Pohang as Busan struggles in the second half of the match, with Pohang taking 3 points. And finishing things off, the 2013-2014 V-League season kicked off this past weekend. Of course, the defending champions Samsung Hwajae Blue Fangs were able to beat the Korean Air Jumbos 3-2 on Saturday. And on Sunday, Hyundai Capital Skywalkers beat Uri Card 3-0, with Kepco Vic Storms pulling away with a 3-2 victory over LIG. And so with that said, that is going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Samcheongdong, Sangsudong, and Jeongjadong are all places frequented by coffee lovers like moi. And because of their cafe golmok or cafe alleys.
Yep, that's right. And that's why you're holding on to that cup of coffee. I know how much you love coffee, so you're going to love this segment here. Today we're going to be looking at big franchise cafes and even artistic cafes that are small and very unique. Audrey Young has all of that and more for us. Good morning, Audrey.
Good morning, Audrey.
Good morning, guys. Yes, in the past, cafes were known as places to meet friends and enjoy a cup of coffee. But now they're being transformed by designers and artists into unique places, fully equipped with new functions and designs. Let's have a look. Being unique and original is highly valued in this competitive market. From the signboard to the cute characters, this cafe draws people's eyes with its many adorable character decorations inside.
I am a huge fan of that webtoon.
That's for the
These
kid
characters are named Majo and Sadie from a popular Korean webtoon, and here they also sell character goods. It's as big as me.
Looks like you.
Bigger than you.
From top to bottom, the entire cafe is covered in detail with these webtoon characters. And even the food here is designed to look like a character. Okay, where should I begin? So as I eat, I feel more and more drawn into this webtoon world of Majo and Sadie.
Too cute to slice up. But he's still food.
You poured syrup all over his face.
Sorry.
Oh, food looks good, surprisingly.
As you might have guessed, the customers of this cafe are mostly fans of the webtoon.
Fun experience. I got to eat character brunch and play with all the soft toys and experience this really light, relaxing atmosphere.
I have yet to pay a visit.
Cafes have existed in Korea for over 100 years. In the early 20th century, with the support of the royal court, coffee was first sold at the Sontag Hotel run by a German lady. Afterwards, cafes similar to today started popping up and were called tabang. By the late 1970s, there were more than 10,000 tabangs in Korea.
There was even a popular song called A Cup of Coffee, which was about a girl ordering a cup of coffee at a tabang while waiting for her lover to arrive.
Pearl Sisters.
It was
good old
instant
Pearl
coffee
Sisters.
that was served at these tabang establishments. After the 1980s, cafes serving coffee from roasted beans started to pop up. And with the turn of the century came the era of a multinational coffee franchises in Korea. The number of coffee franchises jumped tenfold over the past 5 years. And now there are some 10,000 coffee
Unlike
shops
cities in other
across the
foreign
country.
countries, cities in Korea do not have a lot of open space, so we lack public squares or open spaces. So many see cafes during their downtime and do many things there, which I find as a unique quality of Korean cafes.
The large coffee house franchises are the most popular, but small to mid-sized cafes are evolving. From book cafes where you can read or finish up some work, to traditional Hanok cafes where you can sip coffee and enjoy the traditional setting, to flower cafes where they sell both coffee and flowers. Let's take a look at another unique design cafe. Where are we? A study room or a living room? What looks like a model home is actually a cafe. And this cafe is owned by 3 furniture designers. This cafe is actually designed to look like someone's apartment or living room so that customers feel cozy and relaxed.
There's also a model house. I mean, they could sell these furniture, right?
I think they do in some places.
And of course, customers can use the tables and chairs on display, like you said, and here you can actually enjoy coffee.
I think it's
on
great
a
that you
piece of
can
art.
use and touch the furniture on display.
It's a perfect way to take advantage of a furniture showroom coffee shop. This is another conceptual design cafe. The artwork on display at Artsy is quite impressive. Now this cafe is run by an installation artist. You can see artistic touches in all the different tables, various props and interior designs. And one of the reasons this cafe is widely loved is because of the pop-up gallery where you can see artworks by various artists. And every 2 weeks, the gallery showcases
This
different
place
pieces.
is a really hot place, so there's like a lot of people coming through, and you could see like very, very interesting people coming, and you could even communicate with them. So I loved about all the things they do and the things they provide to us, so that's the best part I loved about it.
It's also a multicultural complex where many events such as indie band concerts, lectures and parties take place. Anyone who drinks here will feel like an artist themselves.
I've worked as an installation artist for about a year, but I quickly realized there wasn't a lot of open venues for performances, exhibits, parties and more. So I decided to make the Artsy Cafe into that space.
Simple and cozy cafes are evolving into unique spaces with brilliant designs and interesting content, becoming new cultural venues.
You know, all of that is good. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how Minjung knows the Pearl Sisters.
I told you I'm in my
It's a mystery.
50s. Well, so for these cafe owners, it's more than just a place where they serve coffee. It's almost like an expression of yourself, having your own space.
Exactly, yeah, you're right. Like what we saw with the furniture designer, the webtoon artists, and the installation artists, we can just see their personality shine through. It's kind of showing off their personality in these cafes.
I think it's really interesting to know because I could just have a cup of coffee from a franchise fast food place and I wouldn't know the difference. I just go ahead and get my coffee. But these trends really do have an effect on bringing customers, right? Those tabangs they started and everything changes along with the trends.
Right, cafes, like you said, everything's going to change along with the trend. So cafes is part of that too. And so what we see is we mentioned the book cafe, the Hanok cafe, the flower cafes. So these are themed cafes, but we're also seeing things like healing therapy cafes and learning cafes. So you can learn a language, you can learn the guitar, and other skills that people normally enjoy as hobbies.
Okay.
Right, so the hours one spends in a coffee shop would just become longer and longer, and we just have to admit it has become like our second home or second workplace. You bring your laptop and you're there for like the whole day.
That's a really good point. You know what experts say? They say that cafes are a third space for those living in the city. So the first space would be your home, the second space would be your workplace, and the third space is usually a cultural space like these cafes. And with the increased measure of the cultural content in cafes, we're seeing that more and more people are seeking out cafes, and so the coffee industry naturally is experiencing growth every year.
I would think it needs to be a gym or something. Okay.
Well, if the gym can have all the cultural expression in it, then maybe
gym serving coffee.
We'll go with the workspace.
Right.
Workspace is good.
Thank you, Audrey, for that story. I know where you're going to go later today. So if you're a big fan of Hyungyang, you know where to find Hyungyang later today. No, to that cafe.
Okay.
All right, this is where we say goodbye for now.
All right, have a great Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.